Hello, everyone. My name is Mark LeBlanc, and I happen to be the chairman of the board for Indie Books International. Thank you so much for joining us today for this edition of our podcast, Marketing with a Book, where we bring together authors, emerging authors, seasoned veterans of the publishing trade to share ideas and information that will help us do better. We believe in authors helping authors and speakers helping other speakers. So thank you for joining us. This is going to be a great show for lots of different reasons today. But our guest, Kim Nagle, is the bomb for a number of reasons, and I will share that with you in a moment. But at Indie Books International, our thought, our philosophy, our approach is that publishing a book is the starting line. It is not the finish line. And contrary to what so many would have you believe out in the business world today, we often feel that it is less about the book and more about what the book or your book can lead to. Yes, we want you to sell more books, but there's a much greater ROI to be had. And that's when your book leads to a $10,000 keynote speech or a $7,500 per day training or a $3,000 coaching assignment or a $30,000 consulting engagement. That's what we want your book to lead to. So we want you to think of your book not as the end game, but as the gateway tool to doing more of the good work that you feel called and compelled to do. Today, we have a special guest, and her name is Kim Nagle. And I have a particular affinity to Kim because we actually are from northern Minnesota. And there's not many of us that come out of northern Minnesota. So I feel like I have a kindred spirit in Kim. And I've gotten to know her, oh gosh, I want to say over the last 5 years or so through numerous conversations. I have encouraged her when times were a little bit tougher and celebrated a number of the victories with her along the way. But here is just a little bit of an introduction, and then we will turn the talking stick over to Kim, and then we will come back and do a little Q&A and interview. Kim Nagle is a keynote speaker. She is a prominent business coach and the author of The Damn Plan. The Damn Plan. One of the prettiest, at least one of the prettiest book covers out there. This book could also serve as a weapon in your office if you needed to swat someone away. But The Damn Plan, and the subtitle is How to Find Freedom, Love, and Money in your business. Most of us want more money in our business, but here comes Kim telling us that we can also have more love and that we can have more freedom. I can hardly wait to hear her prescription for success. She believes that people are capable of taking authority over their lives and that they deserve the life they have always dreamt of. They just need a damn plan. Well, this damn host wants to get this damn introduction over with so we can listen to the damn author talk about the damn plan. Kim, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. That is probably, hands down, the best introduction I've had. You know, other than me, nobody has used damn so many times in that a few paragraphs. I think when I wrote the first draft of the book, I had actually said damn something like 52 times. And it got to be a joke. How many times can I say it? But I say it with all sincerity. I say it because doggone it, you do need a damn plan. And I've been doing business coaching for 30 years. I've owned 6 of my own businesses. And frankly, I came to the place, Mark, where, damn it, something's got to change. Something's got to change. And I grew up, like you said, in northern Minnesota. I grew up in farm country where people fix their own problems, where people are entrepreneurial by nature, by necessity. And I just decided there was no more excuses. And so one day I took all of those 30 years of hard lessons learned, of good lessons learned, of the people I had listened to, such as yourself, and I put them into 4 core principles that became the damn plan. But before I get going, I want to tell you a little bit more about who Kim Nagle is. Because so oftentimes we become our book, we become our business, and our business is forefront. But in the end, what I have learned in all of these years of business is that we all do business in the midst of our very real lives, and that our businesses must fit within that context. I was tired of trying to squeeze out leftover time for friends, for family, for the ones I loved, for myself. So I put family first. So when I talk about who Kim Nagle is, Kim Nagle is a proud mama. She is the mama of 3 entrepreneurial kids. All 3 of these kids own their own companies. And I'm proud to say they are some of my biggest motivators, and they're my biggest why. Aside from the fact that I have, well, in this picture, there's 5 granddaughters. So I have quite a passel of whys in my nest. But this is the best why right now. She is my 6th granddaughter. She was born May 30th. And I can tell you, every time I look at these girls, and yes, I have all 6 girls, I know that they're watching me. I know they're watching me. And because they're watching me, they are my biggest motivation to follow a damn plan, to do what I said I would always do. And that is the bottom line of the damn plan. It asks the question, why haven't you done what you said you would always do? So the damn plan is an acronym too. It's not just a fun explicative to say when things are good, you can go, damn, that was great. When things are bad, you can go, damn. But it is much more than that. It is the 4 core principles of business from my perspective. You can tuck everything you ever wanted to know, everything you ever needed to do into these 4 principles. D is for determined decisions. A is for act consistently. M is for mind your own business. And N is for no excuses. So let me start at the very top and tell you a little bit more about determined decisions. Determined decisions are decisions that are made by the facts. They are made using the facts, the numbers, the truth of your business. It's not gut instinct. I believe in gut instinct. I believe in intuition. But here's the dirty little secret. Those people who really know how to use their gut instinct, those people who are successful using their intuition, they know their numbers. They know the facts of their business, and that's what makes their gut instinct so good. So make determined decisions. By adding determined to the word decisions, I ramped it up a notch, because when you are determined, you are resolved. How often are we chasing squirrels? How often are we chasing the next shiny object, the next business fad, the you can be a millionaire overnight fad? Well, that is why we need determined decisions. We need to focus. We need to laser focus, as Mark would say. We need to pinpoint who our ideal customer is, and we need to drive all of our actions toward serving their wants and needs at a profit. So A is for act consistently. And Mark said we've known each other for a while, and it's been more than 5 years. Mark is one of my first business coaches. And one of the things that he has always said is it is more important what you do every day than what you do every once in a while. And that stuck. Because frankly, when I was out there just winging it, trying to make it work, I was acting inconsistently. The day I set up my time plan, and I call it my damn time plan, and I set up my action plan and then worked it consistently without slipping, without making excuses. That was the day I turned my business around and went from literally being broke and flipping couch cushions for spare change to making enough money to live life on my terms. And that's what I wanted more than anything. So M is for mind your business. So we can make those determined decisions, act consistently, and mind our business. And then we must mind our business. And what does it mean to mind your business? It means know your numbers. Know your numbers every day. Things like a pandemic could happen. Things like an economic downturn. There could be a great opportunity just coming down the pike that you could take advantage of. But unless you know your numbers, unless you know the truth of your business and your capacity, are you able? You can't take advantage and you won't be resilient through those downturns. So minding your business is an everyday activity. And then no excuses. I frankly love the N in the damn plan more than anything, because I made enough excuses in my lifetime. Excuses for why I couldn't do what I wanted to do, excuses for other people. I made enough excuses to fill a boat. Well, I think I made enough excuses to fill the Titanic, and you know what happened to the Titanic. So no more excuses. You either want your dream or you don't. You either want it or just walk away and admit you don't, because otherwise you will not act consistently. You will not mind your business, and you will continue to make excuses. So I came up with, in the damn plan, just using simple business formulas to help people make those determined decisions. And this one's break even. I don't know how many people have seen break even or use break even, but break even is the beginning that I use in the damn plan to answer many questions and to make determined decisions. So on the very top, this is a division equation. $50,000 it costs you to operate your business. And I'm going to blow through this and you could ask questions about it later. But I just want to let you know how this works, because if you've got a pen and paper in hand, throw down a number on a piece of paper that says, here's my operating costs. This is what it costs me every year to operate my business. And then put a number to what you want to get paid. And in the damn plan, I call it the value pay, how you value yourself, what gives you value, what makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. So at the top of the line, we have 150,000. Let's just say your billable hourly rate is $250. And once you look at your numbers, you find out that it costs you roughly $50 to produce that $250. So the equation becomes 50,000 plus 100 is 150,000 divided by 200, which gives you a number, 750. That means you need to sell 750 hours at $250 an hour to break even. To break even. So that begins to ask a whole bunch of questions. How many billable hours can you reasonably do is the big one. How many billable hours can you reasonably do and still work on your business? Who's willing to pay $250 an hour? Is your value of your product $250 an hour? So from this very number, from using numbers just like this, you can begin to ask questions that will drive those determined decisions and thus drive your actions. Now, the 750 hours times $250 an hour is 187,500. And for some people in business, they go, well, I've never made that much in a year. But then they have a choice. They can say they can't. Or the next question is, how do I do it? So that begins the damn plan. So in the end, this simple equation of break even is your beginning. And your next big step then is, are you willing to do what it takes to make it happen? If you are not willing to do what it takes, I said it before and I'll say it again, settle for where you're at, because it's going to be work. You will need a damn plan and you will need to work that damn plan. And then last, what I want to share with you out of the damn plan is something that's near and dear to my heart. Might be a little bit of a coarse conversation, but sometimes it's really hard to get out of bed. Sometimes it's hard to stay focused. And yes, my why is my kids and my grandkids, and they keep me motivated. But beyond that, I needed something that was really, really going to keep me going. Because at one point, like Mark said, he was there when things were really rough. At one point, I moved from a town of 10,000 to a metropolitan area where my neighborhood is 10,000. Didn't know anyone. I left a relationship of 30 some years and sold everything I had or gave it away or left it behind and started over. I needed a damn plan just to get back on track. And this is what got me there. So let me just read this to you. I'm sure you already have, but let me read it to you. I will be courageous and master my God-given talents of speaking, writing, and ideation to build a business that generates the money I need to live life on my terms. Doing so, I will model for my children and my grandchildren, now and those to come, a life fully lived until the day I die. I will have no regrets. Rawr. And I stuck that "rar" in there, even in the editing process. They wanted to edit it out a couple of times. I said, you leave my tiger teeth in there. I need my tiger teeth. I need them all, because business is not a walk in the park. It's not for everyone. And that's why only 10% of the population choose this direction. And 1 in 5 make it after 5 years, because it's not easy. But if it was easy, everyone would do it, and then it wouldn't be half as fun. So that's just my attitude. So for right now, those are a few tidbits of the DAM plan, and this is a little bit of how to get a hold of me. And I would love to talk to any one of you, and you can catch me in a 30-minute free coaching call. I love to have those initial conversations where I can get to know you, and we can start that conversation about what your dream is. What is that thing that you said you were always going to do that you haven't done yet? And we can start making a damn plan to get it done.
Thank you, Kim, for that. And I'm not really even sure where to start. I've got a raft of questions that I want to ask you, and I might even put you on the spot once or twice, but I have a feeling that you can handle it. Let's start with one of the easiest questions, and that is, I know you've been at this for a long time. And you have ridden the roller coaster of ups and downs. Can you share a brief story of a mentor or two along the way that helped or either inspired you or irritated you enough to create a turning point in the direction of your dream?
Well, you know that you're one of them, and you were there and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And in the book, I talk about that. I talk about the fact that those are the kind of people you need to line yourself up with. Because regardless of whether you're coming from an easy peasy lifestyle and you're just moving into it, this is a rocky road. This is a rocky road to travel. So to align yourself with people who do believe in you is just, I can't say enough about it. Renee Rungan has been a longtime friend. She wrote the acknowledgement for my book. And she basically said, you either want this or you don't. You're going to do this? But the one person that probably mentored me the most was my daughter, my youngest daughter. Sometimes you give birth to these mentors. Who would have thought? But when we're open-minded enough, about our lives, and we're paying attention, we're in the moment, we see who we need. Regardless of your faith belief, you will be sent who you need, when you need it, when you are ready to see them. I brought my daughter on as a business partner a number of years ago, and I raised the bar. that raised the bar big time, because before that it was just me. I can eat beans and weenies. That doesn't matter. I'm okay. I'll just survive. Okay. But the day I brought her on board was, this is more than just about me. This is about her too. This is not only about her believing in me and wanting to help me, but we're building a legacy together. So just that act of having her as part of my team is critically important. But you might not know this story, Mark, but I did. So when I was trying to get the damn book done, and I was pushing deadlines, every time I gave myself a deadline, I pushed it. Just, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I couldn't hit the send button because I wasn't believing in what I had to say. Well, you talk about inspiration. She said, all right. And she calls me Kim when we're working together. It throws people off, but she calls me by my first name. She goes, Kim, it's $150 a day for every day now that you're late. It cost me $750. And she asked me to pay up. That's somebody who's willing to step in, step up, and kick your backside with love. Not that I was motivated by the money so much, but I just didn't want to let her down. And I hit send, and that was the best thing I ever did.
Thank you, Kim. One of the things I admire about you is your vulnerability. You and I have both made our share of mistakes over the course of time, and it's not common for people to open up and share their mistakes or their difficult moments. I want to ask you about the book itself, because there had to have been a moment when there was a dividing line in the sand between all of these ideas that you had considered writing about, or different books that you were conceiving in your mind and on paper. And then all of a sudden, what was that moment, or what was that catalyst that said, no, this is it, and you move forward and got this book done?
Well, the first version of the book doesn't look anything at all like the book that sits there. And I give that credit to, throw it back to, well, you, and I think I came to your office and said, what do you think of this? And it was a meh for me. It was just meh. Look at that table of contents. It just doesn't speak to me. But I wasn't listening. I still wasn't listening to myself, to my heart, to my head. I wasn't listening. And I shared it with a few other friends and people I respect. I respect their writing. I respect their knowledge of me. I respect where they knew where I was going. And at least 3 people said, do you suppose you could write more with your heart? And it was scary. It was really scary, because I knew that was what I was supposed to be writing. I knew that I was supposed to figure out a way to be vulnerable, to share the message that needed to be shared. But not, sometimes we can bleed all over the page, and that's not necessary. And so I did a fair amount of research about how do you tell these tough stories and tell the stories that need to be told, that matter. And so I stepped in and to write more with my heart. And that was the big line in the sand. Once I got that in my head, the book got suddenly easy. It suddenly got easy. And it landed up like you kind of called it a weapon, because it started out being 20,000 words. It landed up being 40. And now as today I was recording the Audible, and I'm kind of wishing I'd done 20, but I did 40 because 40 is what needed to be in the book. It just came to pass that was what needed to be in the book. So when people told me, do you suppose you could write more with your heart? And then my daughter, my oldest daughter, I have those 3 kids, basically said, Mom, if you don't do this, everything that you have been through, everything that you've learned, everything we've been through will be for nothing. That was the line in the sand.
Kim, your book has, I think, your book lives at the intersection of heart and numbers. In fact, I'm not sure I have come across somebody who loves numbers as much as I do until I met you. And now the evidence is in black and white in your book. And you shared earlier, one of the most important things is to know your numbers. What would you say to someone out there who is sort of winging it? Maybe they don't have a handle on their numbers, but they're sort of hiding behind faith, hope, and love. And just one day there will be a pot at the end of the rainbow. What would you say to someone like that?
Knock it off. Knock it off. I don't have anything prophetic to say other than just don't do it. The difference that I have seen, and I was a winger. I'm a really good winger. I am the queen of winging it.
I know.
You know I am. And so when I quit winging it, I mean, this is real hardcore facts. When I quit winging it, I literally took my revenue from pretty much broke style like revenue to an increase of 500% in 18 months. When I quit winging it, and that means I was acting consistently, I was acting based on the numbers, I wasn't accepting clients that were just anything because I was hungry, I was accepting the right clients. You helped me clear the decks on, passing and kind of moving a few of my clients along that were taking up 80% of my time and only providing 20% of my revenue. I mean, that took a lot of work around the numbers. And I know the evidence is there. I know it's there. And there's so many people that are winging it for the simple purpose is, I just hate numbers. I hate numbers. I don't like numbers. I had one lady call me for a coaching engagement, and she goes, I read your book. I had your book and I loved it. And then I got to that place about the numbers and I knew I had to call you. And I'm going, well, maybe that was a good strategy in the book, but she was so afraid of numbers, just working on the numbers, that it stopped her dead in her tracks. And that it's been the most rewarding thing of my coaching practice, is that when you see those light bulbs go on and you see people really realize how they can get paid their value, how they can work a business that actually brings them the freedom, love, and money they want. It is amazing to watch the go on. It's just, yeah.
And boy, I want to talk about that a bit. Getting paid your value, because in your illustration you talk about $250 an hour, which from practical experience is not always an easy mountain to climb when you're thinking about an hourly rate and getting paid your value and getting paid your value on a consistent basis. Where do you want someone to start? Meaning, if somebody was in the $50 to $100 an hour range, I don't think you would say, well, just double your fees, come Monday. How would you advise somebody to level up or go to the next level on the way to sort of that dream level?
Well, it is really dependent upon the business. And I think that's so important. Sometimes we run across people in the coaching practice that have a boilerplate and they just say, well, you should be at this, so charge that. But you and I know that doesn't work. Babies don't get fed and the light bill doesn't get paid with buttons. So there's a real economic factor in that revenue of your business, especially if you're like me and so many other people who are we're the breadwinners of our households. So you do need to have a plan, and it's a strategic plan. It starts with really coming to understand who your ideal customers are. Who are your ideal clients? What are they willing to pay? And doing your competitive market research around what's your position in the marketplace? How should you be aligned with other people? Pricing is more of an art than a science. So to start out with, I have people just really come to the realization that they need to pay themselves first. That kind of flies in the face of, the way traditional business development is taught and approached, where, the owner might get paid in the first 5 years, but I have my people start out with paying themselves first, with identifying the amount of money that they need to make via a personal budget. And then from there, what is it that you want to make? Or what is it that you would expect to make if you were doing the same work at a job or in the marketplace? What would you expect to do to get paid for the value you bring to your business? So once you have those numbers in your head, it begins to form those other numbers. And then you have your operating expenses. So most business owners are not paying themselves because their price isn't right. All right. And how long can you sustain that? So I start out oftentimes not by worrying so much about creating a tier, but by identifying what is that price that you should be at. So we look at that. Maybe it's that 250. Maybe they're starting out at 50. And how can we incrementally raise those prices? Now, here's something that has happened to me. It's happened to 3 recent clients. Is I was so underpriced at one point in my business life that I doubled my fees, literally doubled them, and nobody batted an eyelash. The next year, I doubled them again, and nobody batted an eyelash. That's how underpriced I was. And I can tell you that there's quite a few people in the marketplace that are underpriced as well. And what happens when you're underpriced is people start to perceive your value based on what you charge. So that step approach that works for some. The last 3 clients I've had, let's just get out there. Let's readjust these prices. Your existing clients are here. Your new clients are here. You run the risk of losing a little bit, but in the long run, you have more gain to get.
It must have taken you a lot of courage to double your rates. Most likely at a time when maybe your confidence was low. If you recall and are open to sharing, did you get upset? Was there some moment of truth? Did you get upset at a client and wake up one day and say, no more, my fees are doubling? What, did you recall what that moment was like?
It was scary. It was scary. And just, a moment of vulnerability. I have been the breadwinner of my family, even when I was married. And it meant maybe not paying the mortgage. It meant getting another side job if a bunch of people said no. But at that point, I think I was more motivated by really building my own confidence, building the value I placed in myself. I had let my personal value get beaten down so far that for me, it was just something I had to do. And I'll always say that, you throw that price out, you double it and nobody bats an eyelash and you go, damn, maybe I should have tripled it. I still find that today, that you put out a proposal and they're not even negotiating. And, so pricing is an art. Getting that right is something that I do work extensively with my clients on.
Damn, I should have tripled it. That could be the title of your next book. How to set your fees.
Right.
Kim, there's a lot in the marketplace today in professional services. There are some gurus who will say to you, you should never trade your time for money. You should be leveraging your time, or if you're not scaling your business, you're a loser. How do you look at the concept of trading time for money or leverage or scalability?
So much of this business is personal. It really is. So let me just tell you a quick little story. My oldest sister, I come from a family. When I started really looking at my family, I realized that all seven of us, all seven siblings that I grew up in, with myself included, so six siblings, we all in one way or another are entrepreneurial. And that came from our parents who grew up, one in a tar paper shack and one on a subsistence farm north of where I am right now. And they survived. They were survivors. So we grew up with very entrepreneurial spirits. But my oldest sister started a workroom in Texas, and she was extraordinary, an interior design workroom. I modeled my first business after hers. And she was offered an opportunity to work with Ethan Allen, like to be a design studio for Ethan Allen. She had a wonderful shop with 3 staff and herself. She had personal connections with her designers, and she loved going to work every doggone day. It was just, it was everything to her. She's happily retired now. And I called her, she called me and she told me about the opportunity. And I said, oh my gosh, Vicki, let's do this. Let's do this. I'll even move to Texas if you'll just get rid of the scorpions. I'll move there. And she said, no, Kim, no, I don't want to do that. I like my business the way it is. So when I talk to people about the scale of their business, the style of their business, it involves one big thing, your willingness. What are you willing to do to reach that scale? What are you willing to do to build a business, to build a multi-million-dollar business? It's different than what you need to do to build a business that is basically self-employment. It is different. So it's your willingness. It's going to take a toll. You know, if you're building a multi-million-dollar business and you have young kids at home, that's going to take a toll on the time you have with those kids. That's just the truth. So if you're not willing to do that, think twice. For my sister, she was not willing to sacrifice family and family time for that bigger opportunity. But to scale your business is different for every business. An example for me is I'm using online tools. I'm using evergreen products that can be sold online. I have training courses online that I sell that scales me beyond my hourly rate. I'm also looking at certifying DAM plan coaches. That's in year 2, that will be certifying coaches to use the numbers model, the way we approach coaching, and that will scale my business. But that's my choice. I know the time it's going to take. I know the involvement. I'll always have time for those 6 granddaughters, but I won't go to the point where I lose that. I lose that. That's what I'm not willing to do. So know what you're willing to do. Scalability is really dependent upon your willingness.
Kim, if I have the number correct, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think you shared that you have been involved or owned, was it 6 different businesses? Mm-hmm. Pick a business, any one of the 6. And when you look in your rearview mirror, even if it's your current business, but when you look in your rearview mirror, is there some marketing idea or strategy or campaign that you tried that ended up working better than you thought it would?
That is a super good question. And it is simple. And I'm not, for anybody listening, I'm not bragging up Mark, but he's pretty doggone smart. Okay. He's pretty doggone smart. His 1 a day strategy is beyond compare. I will just tell you, every day I get up, and I'm up to 3 a day now, Mark. I do 3 a day, and I do 3 a day consistently. And that's 3 marketing touches. So I call somebody, I text somebody, I send somebody a book. I do some activity that is directly related to building relationships. By far. I mean, I've got a pretty good social media following. I've got, you know, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I have a personal page. I have a business page. I have a social media marketing manager and my daughter. I do have a YouTube channel. I've got I've got all of the social media, I've got the website, but by far, it is the one a day. It is consistently building relationships. So I build relationships. One of the things that I've been doing lately is doing a 30-minute to an hour of a free presentation to different groups. I was in Fargo, North Dakota, speaking with a group of realtors. I picked up 3 engagements from that investment of 1 hour. That is an extraordinary return on investment for that amount of money that it cost me to be there for 1 hour. And I mixed that 1 hour with other events that I was doing in the area. So by far, being in person, building those relationships, calling people, staying in touch with them, just like in the old days, you know, a handshake. That's what works.
When you and I started in business, all we really had was stamps and gas to put in our car and a telephone.
We didn't even have coffee shops.
That's right. That's right. You know, today everybody wants to do anything but pick up the phone or mail a card or a book or a letter or go see someone. And I promise you, listeners and viewers, I truly am not asking her questions, setting her up to give a shout out to me. But just to explain that strategy that she referred to, we call it the storm starter strategy. And it's a seed planting strategy that every day, whether it's 3 a day or 2 a day or 1 a day, that you plant a seed by either a call, a card, an email, a text message, but some type of reach out to somebody in your database or somebody that you've maybe recently met. So that's the strategy. We call it the storm starter strategy. And then her other strategy that she just added was what we call the showcase strategy. Speaking for typically no fee or some level of honorarium in a target rich environment. So Kim, congratulations on that recent speech where you picked up 3 clients. That's one of the greatest ROIs I think that we can get. I was hoping you were going to pick an idea from 3 businesses ago or 5 businesses ago, because I know you have a collection of them. But
well, did I tell you one from a business ago, a retail store that worked better than ever?
Sure.
So I owned a retail store in a big Victorian house, and I happen to know the story of the house because my great-grandmother used to visit the woman that lived there. So I had a little inside scoop, and I found out about a mail order bride. And my oldest daughter, who had a waist about like this big that would fit an antique wedding dress, because apparently women had smaller waists then, we dressed her up as a mail order bride. We put her up in the corner of the Victorian house and told stories. Sat there and told the stories of the house like English women. And we had the best sales day of all. So that ties into, it's a simple strategy. It was a one-time shot, but it put us on the map of being something different. And I think any marketing strategy has got to set you apart. And interestingly enough, when I have reached out to people with a handwritten card or an actual phone call, they're going, oh, that's so fabulous to hear from you. It's nice of you to think of me. When you think about what they're telling you is that nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is taking the time to truly make a human connection. And human connections in story, human connections in our conversations, just being human, I think really gets to the heart of building relationships and long-lasting relationships that will then make those referrals.
Thank you for that. And, you know, our president and CEO, Henry DeVries, often tells the story of how our 3rd grade teacher taught us that authors were important and to be respected. Well, we now know that, you know, we're maybe really not any more special than anyone else. However, the public sometimes will put an author on a bit of a pedestal. And so when someone writes the right book, and there are plenty of books out there that are self-published that are crappy books, or they're good books with the wrong title or the wrong structure or the wrong table of contents. But when you write the right book and it positions you well, and it does have heart in it, and it does have a word that I just kept coming back to throughout your book is the word, the truth. And so many people today in business would just as soon hide from the truth. And that the more clarity they have, or the more focused they are, the more truthful they are with themselves, that's scary. That it's going to be a catalyst for then having to take some kind of definitive action. But you've been in 6 businesses.
Mhm.
And now I want you to coach yourself. If you could look back into the history book to that very first business, no matter what it was, no matter how long that first business was, success or not success, but there was a day one when Kim Nagle had day one of business number 1, with all the fear, with all the excitement, with all the hopes and dreams. If you could go back to that Kim on that day, what advice would you give to her, knowing what you know now?
Oh, boy. I was only 24. And frankly, I had more guts than wisdom. I had more, my grandpa would call it piss and vinegar in me than I knew what to do. I mean, I knew that, hey, well, if you have kids, if you've ever been around kids in their 20s and their late teens, you know that they know everything, right? It wasn't until my daughter turned 40 that she suddenly realized that, hey, mom knows a few things. So back then, I didn't know what I didn't know. And if I were to coach myself, I would tell myself to align myself with someone who knew more about my business than I did at the time.
Mm.
I was starting a drapery workroom. Like I said, I landed up modeling a business very similar to my sister's, who ran her business in Texas. And I walked into the, I was working for JCPenney's at the time, and I walked into the general manager's office. We were all custom decorators. I was an interior designer, decorator, and he was always complaining about how we were losing money. And I had come up with a solution, AKA the workroom, a local workroom that would save him a lot of money. And I just literally said, I have a way to solve your problem. And a week later, I had a contract with JCPenney's. I've always had, one of my highest strengths is woo. If you've ever done strength finders, it means winning others over. And I've always had a way with woo. So apparently I did a good job even when I was 24. But what happened then was what I would really coach myself about. I wouldn't ever uncoach myself to be bold. Being bold was what got me started. Being bold is what's gotten me where I'm at. But I would coach myself to do my research. I would coach myself to write a damn plan. I winged that whole thing. I winged that business for 5 years, and it was very successful. And it wasn't until the economic crisis of the 80s that I went down. I mean, I couldn't survive it. And I couldn't survive it because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have the resilience, the know-how. I morphed it into something else, but it wasn't, I couldn't sustain it as it was. And I tried to do it all alone. I was all alone in my business. So I was the chief cook and bottle washer. I did everything because that's what I had heard you do. And that is the other thing I try to untell people in the damn plan is don't go it alone. You do not need to do everything in your business. One of the best investments you will make is in other people's talents. and you can't afford to do some of the things you might be doing on your own right now. So I would definitely tell myself to have a damn plan and to work my damn plan and not just work in my business. That's probably the last coaching advice I would give myself is work on your business as much or more than you work in it. And that seems to, you know, when you look at the numbers I threw up, 750 hours you need for billable time to make the income threshold you want, then you're going, well, how, I don't have time to work on my business because I've got to get more clients. I've got to finish this client work or whatever it is. Well, if you're not working on your business, your business is just simply surviving. It's when you move to working on it and continuing to examine the numbers, continuing to analyze, are you on the right track? Are you serving the right people with the right product? Do you have the right resources going for you? Until you take the time to examine it, you will just survive. And I survived 5 years. I did very well. By the time I was 30, I had learned a great deal about business. And I don't have any regrets at all, except for I think I still have fabric from that workroom residing in one of my closets. I'm a fabricaholic. Sometimes you just can't throw that stuff away.
Kim, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, not just for being with us here today, but for the good work that you feel called and compelled to do. What I heard in that last sharing or answer is what we often refer to as OPE, or other people's experience, or other professionals' expertise. And you are a real pro. And I'm going to hold up your book one more time, The Damn Plan by Kim Nagle, How to Find Freedom, Love, and Money in Your Business. Please, I beg you, order this book today, and it will create a turning point in the direction of your dream, however you define it. Quite frankly, if you are not earning what you want to earn out of your business, or if your cash flow is a bit of a roller coaster, or your reserves are wafer thin or on fumes. Kim provides the recipes and the answers and the ingredients and the strategies and the formulas with an incredible dose of heart and enthusiasm and soul. And there's one word that I could use to describe Kim Nagle, in knowing her the way that I do, it would be scrappy. Especially now that I know that her daughter is charging her $150 every time she's late for a meeting and is making Kim pay for it. I think your daughter is an author in the making. So thank you, Kim, for being with us, and thank you for the good work that you are doing. And for those of you that are listening to this live or the recording, please also consider reaching out to Kim for a 30 to 60 minute consult and tap into the wisdom of 6 businesses and 30 plus years and an enormous amount of OPE or other professionals' experience. That's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are out. We will listen again soon.